So full time at Pairc Ui Rinn, and it was Cork 11 points, Kerry 23 points. Kerry comfortably see off the Rebels in the end. A brave fight from Cork, it must be said. Look, they gave a good display in the first half and actually lived with Kerry and actually showed a lot of fight, energy, determination that we haven't seen from Cork in quite a long time, actually, probably since 2020 and that win over Kerry. But yeah, a lot of fight, a lot of heart from Cork. A lot of good football at times as well. They broke with pace on the counter-attack. Stephen Sherlock, very impressive, scored one of the best points you'll see in the championship, where he very much sold Jason Foley a brilliant dummy and then slotted it with the outside of his boot over the bar. I thought that was a brilliant point. But look, for Kerry, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter and, even a few other people I was speaking to saying, oh, Kerry weren't great and Kerry were poor and they've a lot to work on. They have a lot to improve on. And I just disagree. I thought they were very good. I just think that Cork, sometimes we always say, things are black and white and there's no grey areas and one team is good, which means the other team is bad. But I actually disagree. I thought Kerry were good for large parts of the game. They only hit, I think, 3 or 4 wides in the game. Don't remember many wides. Nailed a lot of the frees. You'd have to say probably the referee didn't have his best game, in my opinion. A lot of soft frees and there was a lot of indiscipline from Cork, but at the same time, just a few soft frees in there that I don't think were necessary. And he was very whistle happy, let's be honest, the referee today. But I probably didn't have his best game, in my opinion. But, you can't take anything away from Kerry because they were by far and away the better side. And especially the more the second half went on, the more you seen Kerry really pull away. And it certainly was in the final quarter, really, where Kerry did pull away. And they started to really, really dominate. Cork in the first half, as I was saying before, started the game quite brightly. Obviously, kicked the opening score from Stephen Sherlock, and they were very well set up. You could see that defensive system that they operated with, and a system that worked them quite well. Obviously, in 2020 when they beat Kerry, and a lot of men behind the ball, didn't really allow too much space for the Kerry inside forward line. And you'd have to say as well, David Clifford, 2 points or 3 points in total in the game, but I thought they did a good job on him. Maurice Shanley done a very good job on him. Clifford didn't have as big an influence as he did against Mayo or against some other teams, for example. But as I've said before, Clifford didn't need to be at his best. And it was the same last year against Cork as well, where I don't think he kicked a point from play. He was excellent in this game as well. Or sorry, they done an excellent job on him in this game as well on keeping and limiting his influence. But I think the thing was for Kerry was that, look, they clearly have another gear to go up on. Were they given 100% for the entirety of the game? No, but they didn't need to. They didn't need to be at their best. And they just kept on chipping away at the scoreboard. Sean O'Shea nailing every free, I'm pretty sure. I don't think Kerry missed a free or a 45 in this game. Tony Brosnan kicked a couple of points. He was well. Stephen O'Brien was very involved. Had one of his better games for Kerry for quite some time as well. Some of his direct running, kicked 2 points, I think, in total. He was good. In the midfield, fantastic. Jeremy O'Connor, what can you say? He was excellent, probably my man of the match. But clearly when you were watching the game, you could see Cork were struggling loads with the kick out. I mean, I think Kerry won, nearly 20, 25 kickouts, over 20 kickouts in the game. Cork only won, 8 or 9 kickouts in the game. And that clearly was an issue for Cork. And you've seen, obviously, with Micheál Martin, the Cork goalkeeper, who goes off injured. They obviously bring on Dylan Foley, I think it was. And I don't think, obviously, from those kickouts, they didn't have options from the short kickout. You've seen Kerry pressing up on Cork's kickout as well, which meant they had to go long, and Kerry consistently turning them over time and time again. And bringing David Moran on was a big shout from Jack O'Connor, because he was another great option from those kickouts. And Kerry very comfortably got away from Cork after they brought him on as well, in my opinion. So, yeah, look, Kerry decisive. I thought their fluidity in attack was very good. They worked the ball really well, moved the ball very well. Paul Gainey, who comes off the bench, kicks a couple of scores as well. Micheál Burns gets a point. So, look, we know Kerry have another level to go up on, but the criticism of Kerry maybe last year and probably maybe in the past at times has been, and in particular last year really, because they were so good in Munster. They just steamrolled everyone. They were at 100% all the time against Cork. And by the time the Tyrone game came around, it was almost like a bit of a burnout, or, they just weren't quite there, weren't quite ready. It looks more like they're saving themselves this time around. And I think that is the smart decision, because they will have bigger games. They will have tougher games to contend with. And they will need to be ready for All-Ireland quarterfinals, semi-finals. I did see a lot of people sort of, making comments on Kerry's system and how they played, and obviously during the live watch along stream that I did, fair play to anyone who tuned into that. A few people were saying, about their how defensive they were, and they were allowing Cork time on the ball. They were allowing them, but that's been the way they've been playing this year. And obviously since they brought in Paddy Tally, a clear emphasis has been on improving that defense. And as I said in the stream, it was a very Tyrone-like performance from Kerry. But look, that's not a criticism. Tyrone have won multiple All-Irelands playing football that way, and it's clearly an effective way of playing football, because it wins you championships. And if Kerry win the All-Ireland at the end of the year, I don't think anyone's going to complain, in regards to that system. And I don't see anything wrong with the system, because it works, and they still finish with 23 points, won by 12. So I don't really see what the whole big fuss is about it. Yes, it probably, Kerry have never really played like that before. Maybe it isn't the Kerry way, but at the same time, it's all about winning, All Irelands. And Kerry for me are still playing great football, because you've seen the sort of movement and attack, and the way the interchange at times is very good. So yeah, a lot of fuss really for nothing there, in my opinion. But Cork, yeah, look, they'll it's an interesting one. Obviously, a lot of people praising Cork online, and I've seen a lot of people, giving Cork a lot of credit. And you do have to give them credit for how they played in the first half. They put it up to Kerry. Sean Porter, I thought, was excellent in terms of turnovers. He played very well. And obviously the likes of Stephen Sherlock kicked some brilliant points. Cathal O'Mahony with 2 brilliant points from play as well. So Kerry or Cork did show a lot of positives, and certainly a lot more positives to their supporters than what they've seen from this year. What you would say about Cork is, they have this habit of turning up against Kerry, putting in big performances, running those extra yards. But where were these performances all year? And where, they went out and beat Kerry a couple of years ago, then lost to Tipperary. So for Cork, they need to build on this now. Going into the qualifiers, it's going to be tough. They could get Mayo, they could get Tyrone, they could get Armagh. There's a lot of tough games in there. They could also get Clare, they could also get Louth. So you'll have to wait and see from a Cork perspective who they end up playing in those qualifiers. And is it a moral victory to lose 12 points at home to Kerry? I'm not sure. I think it just shows how far the standards have fallen for Cork, and I think their standards should be a lot higher than losing 12 points against Kerry in your own backyard. I think their standards should be a lot higher. They won an under-20 All-Ireland a couple of years ago. So, they clearly have young players coming through the ranks, make no mistake about that. But look, there are positives to take by how they set up. But it will be very hard for them to, it's still very hard to see them do anything, uniquely special this year, in my opinion. But look, it was Kerry's day. Better team from start to finish. Jeremy O'Connor, for me, the man of the match. I thought he was excellent in midfield. Stephen O'Brien, a contender. You'd say Sean O'Shea maybe for his points and for how well he played, and obviously nailed almost every free in the game. So you'd say he had a great game. Kerry defensively very sound. Sean Porter very good for Cork. I thought he'll certainly wake up with some cuts and bruises tomorrow. Make no mistake about that, because certainly some heavy challenges that did go in on him. Make no mistake about that. But yeah, Kerry get the victory, 23 points to 11. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Who for you was the man of the match? What were your thoughts on Kerry's victory? What were your thoughts on Cork's victory or Cork's performance? Can Cork push on from here? Can they finally start putting in these kind of performances against teams they should be beaten? Yeah, a lot to discuss, no question about that. Dylan says this isn't the Cork I remember, like 10 years ago. They got to the All-Ireland final twice in a row, before 2009, 2010, winning 2010 against Down. And yeah, look, and I don't think anyone is expecting Cork to be winning All Irelands or, challenging for All Irelands, but they shouldn't be, in my opinion, with the size of the county, with the resources that they have, the sponsorship deals that they bring in, and the underage success that they've had. They shouldn't be fighting relegation from Division 2. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's teams with way less resources, way less population, way less lost a bit of few internet issues there, but yeah, look, anyway, Kerry get the victory, and big result for them. We'll wrap this up here anyways, because the internet is having an absolute meltdown. So yeah, we'll wrap this up here. Cheers anyone tuned in. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos coming soon. I'll see you later.